How to speak English confidently. Hello and welcome everyone to today's session. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that many English learners struggle with: how to speak English confidently. This session is going to be packed with actionable tips, insights, and long-term strategies to help you become a more fluent, confident English speaker. I'm here to guide you every step of the way, so whether you're listening at home, on the go, or wherever you might be, get comfortable and let's get started. Speaking English confidently is not just about grammar rules or vocabulary. It's about mindset, practice, and using the right techniques consistently. We'll break everything down into easy-to-understand steps, and by the end of this podcast, you'll have a clear path forward. But before we get into the nitty-gritty details, let me share a bit about why this topic is so crucial. In today's globalized world, English is the bridge language used in business, education, and travel. Imagine being in a meeting, wanting to express your ideas, but feeling held back by your lack of confidence. Or maybe you've had the experience of traveling and feeling anxious about speaking English to ask for directions or order food. Confidence in speaking can open so many doors, from career advancement to making new friends around the world. So how do we get there? How do we build the kind of confidence that allows us to speak naturally and fluently? Let's jump into it. 1. The foundation of confidence in speaking English. To build confidence in any skill, whether it's learning to drive, play an instrument, or speak a language, you need to start with a solid foundation. When it comes to English, the first building block is understanding. Understanding both the language and yourself. Know your strengths and weaknesses. The first step in becoming confident is knowing where you stand. Take some time to assess your current English level. What are your strengths? Are you good at writing but struggle with speaking? Do you have a strong vocabulary but feel nervous when trying to form sentences on the spot? Understanding where you need improvement helps you create a plan. Let me give you an example. Take Juan, a student from Spain. He had excellent reading comprehension, but every time he tried to speak in class, he froze up. He realized his problem wasn't the words he didn't know. It was the anxiety he felt when speaking. So instead of just learning more vocabulary, Juan decided to focus on practicing his speaking skills in small, comfortable settings, like talking to himself in front of a mirror or having conversations with friends in English. Over time, this small change made a big impact. Within 6 months, Juan's confidence grew, and he was able to participate in group discussions without hesitation. Start small and grow. Another key principle for building confidence is starting small. Just like you wouldn't run a marathon without first training, you shouldn't expect to speak fluent English right away. Start by practicing in environments where you feel safe and comfortable. This could be as simple as practicing in front of the mirror, talking to yourself, or recording your voice and listening back to it. For instance, Sarah, another learner from Brazil, practiced speaking by recording short videos of herself talking about her day. At first, she was very self-conscious, But over time, she became more comfortable hearing herself speak in English. This simple exercise boosted her confidence significantly, and now she even hosts her own English conversation group. 2. Surround yourself with English. Another major step towards speaking English confidently is surrounding yourself with the language. When you immerse yourself in English, it stops feeling like something foreign and starts becoming more natural. Daily exposure is key. You don't have to move to an English-speaking country to immerse yourself in English. There are so many ways to bring English into your daily life, even if you're living in a non-English speaking country. Here's an interesting statistic. Studies show that people who expose themselves to their target language for at least 30 minutes a day improve their fluency 60% faster than those who only study a few times a week. You could listen to podcasts, watch TV shows, or even follow English-speaking YouTubers. The goal is to expose yourself to how native speakers talk, the words they use, and how they structure their sentences. Even if you don't understand everything right away, that's okay. The more you hear the language, the more familiar it becomes. Let me give you another concrete example. Priya, from India, was struggling with her English fluency. Her written English was excellent, but speaking felt difficult because she rarely had the chance to practice. Priya decided to dedicate 1 hour each day to listening to English podcasts during her commute. Within 3 months, not only did her comprehension improve, but she also noticed that her speaking had become much smoother. Listening to natural conversations daily allowed her to pick up on the rhythm and tone of native speakers, which made her feel more confident when speaking herself. 3. Practice, practice, and more practice. You've probably heard the saying, practice makes perfect. But when it comes to speaking English confidently, I'd modify that to say, practice makes progress. The more you practice, the better you'll get. Make mistakes and learn from them. One of the biggest roadblocks to confident speaking is the fear of making mistakes. But here's the truth. Everyone makes mistakes when learning a new language. Even native speakers don't always speak perfectly. So don't let the fear of saying something wrong stop you from speaking. Think about it this way. Making mistakes is actually a part of the learning process. It's how you figure out what you need to work on. I remember one of my students, Ahmed from Egypt, who was so afraid of making mistakes that he would avoid speaking in class. But after a few months of focused practice and learning to laugh at his own mistakes, Ahmed's speaking improved significantly. His confidence grew because he realized that making a mistake wasn't the end of the world. It was just a part of the journey. Join English speaking groups. A great way to practice is by joining English-speaking groups or language exchanges. You can find these online, or you can even create one with your friends. When you speak with others, it forces you to think on your feet and apply what you've learned. Plus, speaking in a group helps you get used to hearing different accents and ways of speaking. For example, there's a story about Anna from Italy who joined an online English conversation group. She was nervous at first because the other members were from different countries and had various accents. But after a few sessions, she became much more comfortable speaking with others, and her confidence soared. 4. Building a routine. Confidence comes from consistency. To really improve your English, you need to make it a part of your daily life. A common pitfall for learners is inconsistency. They study for a few days, then take a break, and when they come back to it, they feel like they've forgotten everything. Set a realistic schedule. Instead of cramming all your learning into 1 or 2 days, break it up into smaller, manageable chunks. For instance, 30 minutes of focused speaking practice every day is much more effective than trying to practice for 5 hours on a Sunday. Let's look at an example. Daniel, a busy professional from Germany, was struggling to fit English into his daily schedule. But once he started practicing for just 20 minutes a day, his improvement was remarkable. He'd focus on one topic each day, sometimes practicing speaking, sometimes listening, sometimes working on his pronunciation. Over time, this consistency built up, and Daniel became a confident speaker in less than a year. Conclusion. So, there you have it. Speaking English confidently is something that takes time, dedication, and lots of practice. But if you follow the steps we've talked about today, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, surrounding yourself with English, practicing regularly, and staying consistent, you'll be well on your way to becoming a confident English speaker. Remember, every small step counts. The more you immerse yourself in English and practice, the more natural it will feel. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, keep pushing forward, and celebrate your progress along the way. Thank you so much for tuning into this session. I hope you found these tips helpful, and I encourage you to start applying them today. If you enjoyed this session, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. I'll be back next week with more tips and strategies to help you on your English learning journey. Until then, keep practicing, stay confident, and I'll see you in the next session.